Caregiving isn't just emotionally hard, it's also structurally confusing. We tell people all the time to go ask for help, but we don't ever give them a clear place to go when they do. Today I'm talking with Shauna, the founder and CEO of Tendercare, about her experience caring for her dad, the moments where the system completely breaks down for families, and what she's learned from trying to build a better way forward. We hope you enjoy this conversation. We're back with another week. A bunch of stuff has been going on. How has the week been for you, and what's been new?
Well, first of all, it's good to see you. I'm realizing that it feels like I'm like 5 inches shorter than you, which may actually be true, but I don't feel that way. We're going to move the screen up. It's been a week, I can't believe it's Thursday, working on something like Tendercare. I think we have the reverse reaction to most people, which is like, oh, thank God it's Friday. I'm always like, we have so many more important things to do before we hit the weekend. Like I see Thursday and I'm like, can we just back it up 2 days so we get like 2 more days? It's been a week, we've done a huge push as a team. We got an upcoming board meeting. And so this is a moment to really zoom out, take a look and take stock at what we as a team have set up to commit ourselves to over the last quarter, what we nailed, what we learned, what we did as a result of those learnings. So a lot of really good discussion coming in. And then of course, always like the last push to get as much possible impact as you can before you get into this. So deep work and a lot of it. That's how I would kind of characterize this. And then on the other side, I have 2 little ones, one little guy who's been sick all week. And so, it's funny. Every time I'm like, it's, my kid is sick. It's not like, that's not me. But then I'm like, oh wait, who's up in his face all day long, just like inhaling his germs. So if I sound a little stuffed up, it's because I've got my 7-month-old to thank for this one. So I'm fighting through that at the same time. How about you? How's your week going?
It's so you asked me the other day how it's been since I've been back. There's obviously always something to do. There's always more things that can be done. And when you were talking about people think about the weekend and like finally get a break, I try my best to not work on the weekends. I'm not always successful at that just because I'm always thinking about all of the things that could be done. And I struggle with a line in the sand of like, this is when I'm on and this is when I'm off. I'm wondering how you think about all that.
It's really hard. I also think no one size fits all. So I think it's actually really harmful to listen to other people and then just direct carbon copy that into your life. For me, early on, I realized I'm much more of a flow worker. So I actually appreciate thinking about work as like a tiny segment ongoing of multiple days, including weekends, because it sets me up for the week in a different way. Like I'm just not the type of thinker that can just do it and then not do it for a certain period of time. So I just accept that about myself. And it gives me energy. And I try and have one layer of my day, it's almost like a cake, be about focusing on different issues or different types of projects that we've got in place. I try and put some structure to that so that I have different days where I'm really pushing myself to think deeply about different parts of Tendercare. But I don't think I ever really turn off. I really do think of us as Olympic athletes. Do you think an Olympic athlete is turning off in the 4 years before they get to the Olympics? I don't really think so. I think you have fun times. You'll take vacation, you'll spend time with your family, you spend time with your friends. But I'm not sure that's ever not the thing that you are, right? While you're in the middle of that. So I don't know if that's an answer for you. That's my way of doing it. I think others, it's easier to be much more objective about this is my period of time. I'm going to do deep work. It's on my calendar. I'm focused. And then I'm going to be able to go completely shut it down. And the way I'm going to recharge is I'm just not going to think about work at all. And the space is going to give me what I need to, when I come back to it, be that much more intentional. I think it really just comes down to knowing yourself and what are the right environments and settings for you to do the best work of your life. Only you are going to know that. Nobody else is going to be able to tell you.
So good. We've been talking a lot about Find Help, and to me, it seems like we're in a much better place than we were last week with Find Help, feeling more confident in what's going on in the back end, what it looks like on the front end. Can you talk about what Find Help is for those, if this is their first time ever hearing those two words together? What is Find Help? What is that offering?
Find Help is so badass. It just is. It's where you go to find help. I know that sounds so simple, but there's so much that comes that's unclear about helping your parents, getting older. Like if it's for you, planning, being in the middle of an emergency and a crisis, you need help, right? And I think the hardest part of that is not knowing where to go for that help. It's very unclear. And you got a lot of people circulating around who you think are the place to go to find help. The doctor, the social worker, the discharge nurse, the fireman. Most of the time, in fact, 99% of the time, they are on to the next emergency. This is not the zone where they can actually give you help. So Find Help is the ability to go to one place, and this thing works so well. Put down the thing that you need help for. You don't even need to have the right words for it. It can be like, my mom, we're in the ER. The intake itself will be your clear-headed co-pilot to helping ask the right questions for what type of help you actually need. It takes less than 2 minutes. And then on the other side of that, we have a professional team of care experts who are sitting down, reviewing all of the answers. And by the way, you don't even have to text this. You can do this. You can just do voice to text. You can do it on the web. You don't have to download anything to get there. They'll review all of this. And then within 24 hours or less, you've got a whole care plan in front of you. Here's what you need to be thinking about. If you're going to do one thing only, this is the one thing you should be doing right now or thinking about. And then, oh, by the way, here's 5 different trusted, highly vetted professionals in that category. Here's how much they cost. Here's if they're covered, by any of the insurance that you or your parents might have. And then here's where to get in contact with them or learn more about them. There's nothing like this on the internet right now. Google does not even come close. There's nowhere where you can actually go to find help in the way that I just described, except at tendercare. I'm so proud of this. It's totally free too. So we're putting this in the hands of every single person who needs help and making sure that they don't have to go through what we did, which is sitting there with a question or a series of questions and no answers for months and months while the dread starts to ramp up or the anxiety. As we know, we're supposed to be doing something. We don't know what that thing is or who to talk to or who to contact. And we're wasting time and we're usually losing money.
How did we land at Find Help? Like, was there a revelation at some point in starting tendercare where you were like, yeah, this is the thing that needs to get built and this is the plan to get there? Like, how did you arrive at knowing that this thing needs to be built?
I mean, all of taking care of a parent is like a broke down palace, right? So there's just like so many problems that this experience brings up. It's like a feast of problems. So when we first started tendercare, it was like, well, which of these do we go after first? We know we want to go after everything. Which ones do we go after first? And the logical place when you're in product development you go to is you go in and you talk to hundreds of people who are living with these problems and you ask them, like, what is the most painful thing for you? So we did that. We went out, I led an employee resource group back when I was over at Facebook of all people taking care of their parents and caregivers themselves. We just asked, what do you want? So here was what they answered. I want to be more organized. I want one place to put all my information. You'll hear this over and over again. They don't ever say, I need to find help. And that led us down a number of different paths before we got to find help. We went and we built what they asked for. Well, turns out that when you are building a redefining set of products to answer for a problem, oftentimes those living with the problem won't even know what to ask for. Like, do you think that, when Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb, went out and talked to people, they were like, you know what I really need? I need people to like open up their homes and let me stay in their guest bedroom. No, that is not what they're going to ask for. And so sometimes you got to build the thing for people to even know that this is something that they can ask for. So how did we get to find help? We got there straight through the middle, no shortcuts, building all the things that people taking care of other people have asked us for, doing a really good job of that, but realizing, you know what, we need to go further. Like, we haven't really addressed all the pain yet of what this is like. And then enough scar tissue of actually going through some of these experiences myself as a family in the ER, on the other side of a doctor's appointment where I'm literally asking for help because you think the person's going to be able to give it to you. And then being either met with silence or being met even worse with like, go look up psychologytoday.com or Google it. I could not believe it. I was like, Google it? What do you mean? Like, have we tried Googling? This is impossible. It's like 7 or 8 different listings of things you don't need that are all sponsored. It gives you no feedback of what you should actually be asking for. So it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that got us to the point of realizing this is the thing. This is what no one is asking for, but what they really need. And this is going to solve such an impossible part of the experience. So specific. It's that moment you go from whatever the news is or the event or that moment that changes everything. We all have them, right? You can pinpoint it if you talk to anyone what their story is, into where you go from here. It's so cool. I hope everybody uses this and it brings them the type of peace of mind they deserve. Like, that's what this is for.
I always question, like, how is this not a thing before? Because I've been so involved in the behind the scenes of everything happening. It's almost like, well, the thing that we're building, like, it almost feels like it should have been a thing before we even built it, right? Like, how could it not have been? So it's really interesting. One thing that I'm really curious about is, how do you, like, we talk about shipping constantly and shipping more than you're comfortable with. Like, for something like Find Help, that could be a game changer for somebody, super monumental of you connecting a user to a service that they actually need. Like, what's the standard for knowing, okay, this is ready to go and we could actually have people use this thing?
I mean, we start with patient zero. We start with caregivers on our own team. Does this actually solve problems in our own lives? Does it meet the test where we feel proud of this? I think you got to start there. And then it's always going to be a journey of refining and making it more perfect. Like, that's the path, right? To building beautiful things that work and solve problems. So you have to be comfortable with that. You're in a constant state of evolution. And so, as a team, do we feel like this meets a certain need that isn't being met out there enough to put it out and into the world? After what I feel like is like a pretty responsible set of like sequences of asking that question, first to our own team, then to some of our users or existing users who are willing to like sit down with us, actually give us that feedback, then to just putting the thing in beta out into the world and letting word of mouth take over. Like, it's been amazing watching people come through and find help without us saying a word about it. Hearing the feedback coming through gives me, and ideally will give anyone who's using this the confidence they need to be like, what is the downside? Truly, like, what's the downside of this? You're not going to get help anywhere else. So try it. It's free. If it works for you, how amazing is that? So that's when it's time to go and meet the world. And, in product development, always they say, you're almost always too late. You got to ship. Because there's probably 7 different things you're going to learn that you would have never learned without shipping. So we're sitting on all this ignorance that you can only eliminate through actually inviting real people who are using the things we build to be in conversation with us about how do we make them better.
Can we talk about the human in the loop that happens at some point in the intake? You were talking about, I don't know if we've talked about it publicly, but we have somebody on the team who is like world class at making connections. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Her name is Lisa. And at Tendercare, we call this the family bar in everything we do, right? We're building something that we would want for our own family. And I specifically me, I'm like, I don't want to put anything out there that I haven't tested, that I don't put my name behind. Lisa actually helped me and my family through so much of the early crisis with my dad. She's helped thousands of families. She's an incredible care navigator, care expert. And Lisa is actually who has been behind the gears in making sure that nothing that we put out there doesn't have the best level of expertise behind it in what kind of guidance a family, like, anyone coming to us looking for help can expect from being able to have access to world-class care navigators. It's been amazing having her help really think through what does this system look like, this new version where we make this accessible to everybody. How do we make sure that we continue to get more and more specific with certain problems, certain asks that she's seen thousands of times? And so when we say family bar, Lisa is the one who has saved my family thousands of dollars. She's helped get my mom on Medi-Cal multiple times. She's helped me recoup or get reimbursed for out-of-pocket costs that I've had to put out there for skilled nursing. That's super scary. She's helped me find free resources. This is for my own family. This is like the pure sort of, I would say 1.0 chapter of how we do all of this, which is essentially just human to human helping one another without any sort of tech platform in between. That's where we started with Lisa. So anyone who uses this, you are in very good hands between Lisa and the team that she's driving.
So good. Shout out to Lisa.
She's the best.
When you think about, the families that are going to use this and the help that they're going to get, do you ever think about the young Shauna who was first going through that first time you heard the diagnosis from the doctor with your dad? Do you ever get, maybe not nostalgic isn't the right word, but do you ever think about that time and what the things that we've built now and thinking about how much it would have helped you back then with the tools that we have now?
No, but I am now. No, I mean, for me, what fires me up is it's too late for us. I had to go through the painful periods of not having any of this. And so my time has passed. My dad and we had to learn the old way, which is every man for themselves, elbows out, trying to fight what feels like this very unforgiving, very unclear system for how to actually go about any semblance of this chapter, which I would call, living with Alzheimer's with any sort of grace. But basically 90% of it was ungraceful. So I don't spend a lot of time with woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's not helpful for me because there's so much I've had to come to terms with, and come to peace with that it's just not my story, right? But what I do think about is how good it feels that all of that blood, sweat, and tears, that time learning, wow, that really stung when I missed the re-enrollment for my dad's health insurance. Or, wow, if I had just known about long-term care and had been in a position to really advocate that my dad get this for himself, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars would my family have saved, I can pour all of that into features like Find Help. There is no pause between a family and actually actively seeking help and getting all of that knowledge. And I've heard this from so many others who are walking this walk too. Wow, if I had had this 5 years ago, this would have completely transformed my experience. So I don't think about what it would have been like for me to have these tools then, because it was so clear to me what a tender care sized hole there was in my life at that point. That was the get up and go. That was the fuel to come out and build this thing. It was this is unacceptable. This needs to exist. What the hell is going on? Why is this not already a thing? And even then I was like, okay, someone go build this so I can use it. I don't want to do it. This is way too hard. Like someone else, just tell me where to go. I will come and use it. And there just wasn't, it didn't exist. So it's so cool to now be on the other side and be like, well, now it does. Here we are. And I'm telling you, I say this, it's not even hard to sell. I'm like, this will change people's lives, having access to this tool. And I'm so proud that we've been able to make it free. That's the coolest part.
Yeah. For people wondering about the I guess the business model of tendercare and how can we afford to give out things like the Tender ID for free or even this incredible service of Find Help, like how is all of this even possible?
This was the trick. It was like, well, how do you actually get people the help they need when they're in the middle of it? They're already so under siege with the amount of questions, the fear, the worry, the oftentimes resources being pulled out and used for a million very necessary things. Like, how do you get this service out into the world in a way that can thrive and also feel very honest and make very clear sense of how we can survive and continue to build these products? And it became very clear that the champions in the corner of helping families like mine, like yours, succeed were actually in our own towns. There are neighbors. There are small businesses that are helping families every day. You know, we talk about this, the elder law attorney, you know, down the street, or the geriatric care manager who helps navigate all of this, or the senior move managers who are standing by waiting to help pack up, you know, your grandma's things to either help relocate her into your home, into an independent living facility. Like, these are incredible human beings, and they are building their entire business on delivering quality service to families like ours. And they were going to be the ones who believed in this vision of a better way for us all to be able to understand who the right ones are. And what they were willing to do to underwrite this entire system was say, hey, I believe in my services. I believe in the quality of my business. Vet me, audit me, do your worst on researching everything about me on the internet, you know, review all my licenses and my accreditations. If I meet your test, I will pay a subscription to be on your platform. Just show why it is that I'm trustworthy, why I stand up to being worthy of business in my town. And so what they do is they pay a subscription to be a trusted network member. And our trusted network members, they're amazing. They're all over the country, right? There's hundreds of thousands of these incredible services all over the country. They are underwriting this entire system for all of us so that, you know, when the time comes, and the time sometimes does come, you're going to need to make a move. You're going to need to bring someone into your home. You're like, these are real vital services. You are going to know who the good actors are, who are there helping you all along the way. Really underwriting all of the tools that have been made possible for you so you can go and reward that business with your business when the time comes when you actually need them. That is a future I believe in. I'm like, this feels right. This feels like the right way to actually go about figuring out who we give our business to. It's those ones that deserve it. So that's how we run. And that's why we can stay free for families.
When you're in front of potential trusted network members, or even just pitching tendercare to these network members, what's the typical light bulb that goes off when they hear about tendercare? Like, what's the thing that's like lighting them up when you're, you know, explaining?
I think it's that they have just been living in such a broken system for so long. They know it's broken, but these are people who have devoted their lives to being there in person, providing care. You know, they're not sitting there with their army of engineers of how to fix some of these problems. And so when we go to them and we say, you get to compete on quality, you get to compete on transparency and trust and your reputation in this industry. You don't have to go out compete some major multinational marketing arm to get out in front of someone looking for you. That's when the light bulb really goes off. Like, this is a better way to be able to find the families that need me and to put my business where it shines out in front of them in ways that are really hard for a lot of these businesses to do otherwise.
I hear you talk to the team a lot about we are creating a category, and sometimes I don't really know how to understand that fully, because how can you how can you know something that you don't know, or how could you create something that is not already created? Like, how do you even visualize something that doesn't exist yet? How do you think about that? And like, could you explain that to people who might have never heard of making an entire category before?
It's not for the faint of heart, right? It's much easier to color inside the lines. Right? Airbnb, rideshare, like, these were crazy concepts at one time. They did not exist. And so when you're category creating, like, you're really starting to think about what is a new way of doing things that's actually a better way that has not been considered yet. And so, we have to be brave in order to do it. You also have to be ready for what is required to go from sort of the status quo of what's something like the way the world currently exists and push it into the future. So when you talk about category creating, like PayPal was a great example of that. Digital payments, this didn't exist, right? We take this stuff for granted now. But before, you had your wallet, you went to the ATM, you got your cash, right? You wrote your checks. Now, one touch button, PayPal really changed the game. This is what we talk about when you talk about category creation. You're not only building a company, but you're building a whole workflow of a new way of doing things for people that eventually, if you're lucky, if you've pulled it off, everyone will just take for granted at that point. That's what we're doing. So ultimately, category creation is just a long, slow march to be taken for granted at one point. That's the journey you're on with me, Chris.
It's almost like I said earlier, it's like really, it's hard to understand how to create a category that doesn't exist yet. It's like hard to visualize like what a world looks like with this new thing that it doesn't exist. Like, how do you wrap your head around that? I don't know. Sometimes I think about that statement all the time, because I think about people like Brian Chesky or other founders of things that we take for granted now. Like, how do you put yourself in a space where you could truly see the vision all the way through? It's really it's tough.
I mean, Jensen Huang says this from NVIDIA. I think it's just extreme ignorance, ignorance and optimism, where, if you really understood how difficult it is to do the thing from the outset, no one in their right mind would go out and try and do this. So, maybe you're too sane for your own good, Chris. But the idea is, you just live in the problem. You understand it so deeply that you're so committed to solving it. And you're just enough of an outsider to think outside of the box in how to solve it. You're not so jaded or inside of the system that you only go for option A or option B. You've got a different path that you firmly believe is a better way to do this. And let's be honest, we do not age gracefully. Like, that is just not a zone of excellence for us as a society, as a culture. Like, this gets a D at best. Like, we all collectively pretend it's not happening until it is. And then it's just like a total tire fire and, trying to back out of not having made a lot of decisions proactively and, increasingly just picking between like the lesser of two bad options, right? That is not what we should accept, right? So even just category creation here, it feels like this is such an obvious one that deserves a new ways and new paths. How cool is it to do something much more proactively with much more context and much more confidence in what actions you can take? What will it actually yield for you in terms of money saved or time saved, health and wellness? That's just a better future Like, and that's what I keep coming back to. It's like, that's just a world we should all be living in. So to me, category creation is kind of just connecting the obvious here, which is like, okay, this is really bad right now. The way that we do this, we can't stand for that. Like, we're too ingenious as a species to allow ourselves. And by the way, this is universal. We're all getting old, right? Like, to allow that to be our future, that is not right. So that's kind of how I think about it. And then also, it's just more fun, right? It is so much more fun to color outside of the lines and go build something new. You know, you don't need a roadmap for that. You get to create your own. So in terms of a way to spend your life and to think through problems that deserve your time and your life, your precious life and your energy, I think it's way more fun to go after the ones that haven't been cracked yet. Do you think we're crazy?
A little bit.
I think we are too. I love, you're like, how it unfolds. We're just on this like crazy road. I think you have to be a little bit crazy, and you have to at the same time be intelligent enough to realize that it's crazy and somehow still be optimistic, or ignorant enough to still vote for crazy. You can't be purely crazy. You have to understand why it's crazy. Right?
For sure. But I think what really helps is the little wins along the way, like hearing from a user, or I think that is the little win along the way. That's like, oh, okay, that's a little breadcrumb, like a tiny piece of a breadcrumb. That's like, maybe we're moving in the right direction. It's still really difficult to keep moving, but the more breadcrumbs we can keep finding, it makes it all worth it.
For sure. Yeah. There are little moments of being like, we are on the right track. We're on the right track, right? We have to be brave for everybody else because the track has to be paved for everyone else. It's going to be so obvious at that point. You don't need breadcrumbs. It'll be like glaring signs and billboards. You're on the right track. For us, it's the brave ones who can look and see like the tiny breadcrumb and be like, this is right. And I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep advancing. And I just think also just the law of physics. If you just keep coming back to a problem over and over and making incremental progress against that, there's the compound effect of like eventually that picks up speed and becomes even faster progress, and it becomes easier and easier along the way. So it's exciting to do this. It's hard work. It's mental work, and it's hard to be mentally strong enough to go out and build these things. And let's be honest, the reality is like first versions of things are often like clunky and funky and need all kinds of love. So to be able to like, it's like your kid, right? Who's like just starting the violin or something. You're like, I think I heard a right note in there. Like, just keep practicing. And one day you're going to get it, having that kind of patience with the process and what it looks like when you are first building anything new. So yes, here's to more crazy. And it will be so fun for people to try, find help. By the way, I really do hope that everyone who tries this gives us all kinds of feedback on this. This only becomes truly excellent with everyone's help. So we need your help with Find Help, and do hope that it actually gives you the help that you deserve.